Happy fall. So yesterday I made a video. It went longer than I wanted, just a bunch of fluff, so I ended up taking it down. But I want to do a quick review off the top of my head of the general conference. Now for us, general conference, we got 4 kids, 6, 4, and 2, and 9 months. So it gets pretty hectic. We make lots of food, lots of good stuff, prep it. We have activity bags with, and the month leading up to conference. No. I think we just did 2 weeks leading up to conference. We go through all the general authorities at dinner time and just learn a little bit about them and things that impress them in their lives about the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we have a calendar up in the kitchen. Probably should have done this in the house, but we have a calendar up in the kitchen. We put up little Velcro things saying what day it is, and general conference days are the best days, right? But my goodness, no matter the activities and the bags or the snacks that come in with whichever speaker there is a huge activities mess, clean up after, and food, and oh my gosh. Do they feel closer to Jesus Christ after it all? I don't know, but they scream, yell, and fight over things less because they're all getting the same thing in the activity. But what stood out to me, there's a lot of stuff that stood out to me. One thing I do want to mention first is President Nelson and his talk. It reminded me of everything President Nelson has taught us. We heard a lot of echoes of what he previously had mentioned. And he's saying, be celestial. And there's a lot of members of the church who are thinking, well, it was, it's a good talk, but they're looking for like a power punch, a spiritual power punch. And I think all of them can be personally for you, but it just reminded me of the way President Nelson is. In 1991, the April conference, he gives a talk, and he describes how he came home from work. His wife asked him to help get the kids to bed, and the kids, little kids, my age kids, and he was saying, brush your teeth, brush your hair, get your pajamas on, was instructing them. And his 4-year-old turned around and said, Daddy, do you own me? And he said it taught him a valuable lesson. Now, I wanted to go through this on my computer and go through the talk, and maybe I'll make a short or something out of it later, but I've been working on spooky stories and reading books to the kids and making videos out of that. So I've been kind of prioritizing stuff with the kids over this. But that lesson he learned was that he's not controlling or taking away the agency of another. And this is the way he learned to parent. And that this is something that he does even with us. So it just occurred to me that he's not telling us deliberately, go do this, go do that. He will entice us, he will encourage us, but leaves us ultimately that total amount of accountability to do that. And I find that very appropriate. And the other talk that stood out to me is from D. Todd Christofferson was it D. Christopherson, who spoke on the prodigal son. No, it was Elder Uchtdorf taught on the prodigal son. That hit me different than it usually does. Now, the thing is I was the prodigal son. I went away. I asked my parents, I want that money that was in that trust from Grandpa who died, and it's like $1,000. So my dad's like, yeah, sure, whatever, good luck. My mom's like, oh, hey, probably not smart to do that. And I'm like, I'm a teenager, I know everything. So I went to the bottom of the bottom throughout my life, and worked for punk rock bands, did all this crazy stupid stuff, and I never stopped praying. I never stopped reading my scriptures. I always believed, felt ashamed, but this prodigal son thing, I always kind of thought, yeah, it's me coming back to church, but it hit me differently. And last time when I explained it in my previous video that I've taken down, I got a little emotional. I think I did pretty good keeping under control, so I'm not gonna do that now. But it just hit differently, because I thought, what if Christ had come back at that time when I was gone, when I was making all those mistakes? And then thinking about how lucky I am that did not happen. And I became, emotional thinking about it initially, and emotional talking about it. I'm good now, nice brisk air. But I really appreciate the fact that I had the opportunity. I can also sense now that there is a sense of urgency happening right now. And we're not being told, go do this, go do that. We know what to do. We've been instructed before. It's just a matter of act for yourself, think celestial. And I wonder how many people are out there that have not returned from wasting away their inheritance. Like, how many is the Father still looking and watching for? I feel like I had the more blessings than I could possibly comprehend, and so I appreciate that. I don't know how to explain it. I was in far worse situations than I ever figured I ever would be in, and survive circumstances I never thought I would. I've seen a fair share of miracles, and I know that the Lord preserves us for a purpose. Now, in terms of so just my takeaway was that Father who is waiting, our Father in heaven, is he grieving over those who have not come back? And is he holding back going into the house, whatever that analogy would be? At what point does he turn away and close the door, close the gate, hold out hope, just watching that horizon, watching the road? Because at some point he does have to come. And if it's possible to get all the people who will turn away from sin, turn away from this, and come back, please do that. Elder Betnar, he talked about the last wagon. I looked up the last wagon talk. It was given, it's been mentioned a few times. Once in 1970, and before that, I think the talk was given 1843? No, 1847. It was an October talk. In 1847, October, and I thought that was very interesting. And this is something I wanted to highlight, and just out of curiosity, because the takeaway from the last wagon is that we are the last wagon on the trail coming out to the Salt Lake Valley. They're not the first group that claim the area. They're not the leaders. They're the people taking up the tail end. They don't see what's ahead of them. It's just a cloud of dust. And they're getting filthy. They are probably far more confused than the people who are at the front, who are experiencing things, seeing things a little bit more clearly, and learning things, seeing it firsthand. Whereas us, we're seeing the trail marked before us. Every now and again, we see people who've gone off trail. But we go where that cloud is and get covered in dust on the way. And then as soon as you arrive in that valley, guess what? The president asks you to go off and settle this land, settle that land. Go help go over here, go over there. And they did. And so I thought that was very unique. I wonder what events culminated after this talk was originally given in 1847. And I figured 1847, that's kind of near the end of the year. Let me look up 1847, yeah. Let me look up what events happened in 1848. Look that up, 1848 events that occurred. Well, the World Health Organization was organized by the United Nations. And there's a lot more stuff. All stuff that directly, for some reason, connects very closely to our day and the stuff that we're facing today. Like oddly specific. And so I thought, oh, is this why Elder Betnar? I'm like, no, I'm just overthinking it. But why would we be given that same talk that was given in October of that previous time? What was going to happen? What was coming? So I encourage you, look up 1848 events and maybe kind of gauge an idea of things that occurred. We know long-term things which have occurred, but what were the things which must shortly come to pass? What were the things that were testing us? What were the things that were stripping our agency, chipping away slowly, a bit at a time? And what were the things that were initiated at that time? May give us a forward glance into where we are now. There's a lot more things I wish to cover, and I'll go ahead and do that in a separate video. I just wanted to go and share some thoughts as I came out and got a pumpkin I grew. So the kids and I can do a super sweet activity. Unfortunately, my watermelons, it was too cold, they stopped growing. But okay, so as soon as I get rid of that, I think there's a spider under there. Then we'll be good to take this into the house. And have a good day. Love you all. A lot more videos to come. I just have been focused elsewhere. Go drink some hot chocolate.